And now that this culture of timidity is on full display, those same do-nothing Democrats want to blame our losses on our defense of black people, of trans kids, of immigrants, instead of their own lack of guts and gumption. Voters didn't turn out for Democrats last November, not because they don't want us to fight for their values, but because they think we don't want to fight for our values. We need to knock off the rust of poll-tested language, decades of stale decorum. It's obscured our better instincts. We have to abandon the culture of incrementalism that has led us to swallow the cruelty and the callousness with barely a cowardly croak. It's time to fight everywhere and all at once.
Everywhere and all at once. I mean, that sounds like a pretty good strategy. Maybe it should be the strategy. And also, I would note, Donald Trump is also losing ground kind of everywhere and all at once. So this is the perfect time to do this strategy. And he's losing ground. That's according to an absolute avalanche of new polling. I mean, rarely is this much polling happening in a weekend that has come out over the past couple of days, showing Trump losing across the board his support. The Washington Post ABC News poll this weekend put Trump's approval at just 39%. That's the lowest rating they found in 80 years for a president at the 100-day mark, because this mark in a presidency is typically the high water mark, by the way. But he's at 39%. And voters don't seem to like him as much anymore on some of the biggest issues that decided the election that helped propel him back into the White House. After electing Trump to address inflation and reduce the cost of living, which was part of the argument that helped him, a full 62% of Americans disapprove of his handling on that issue, according to a poll from CBS News. On immigration, an issue that propelled at least some voters to support him last November, Trump's biggest actions have turned out to expose some of his biggest weaknesses. I mean, an AP poll out on Friday found that by a nearly 20-point margin, more Americans oppose deporting students from protesting Israel's actions in Gaza than favor it. The New York Times found that most disapprove of Trump's handling of the Kilmar Abrego Garcia case, 52% compared to just 31% who approved. And the overwhelming majority of people in a CBS News poll made crystal clear that they reject some of the most outrageous actions the Trump administration has already taken. When asked if it's okay to mistakenly deport some legal U.S. residents to foreign countries, 81% of Americans said it's not acceptable. And when asked what the administration should do if the Supreme Court rules against them, 85% of Americans said the Trump administration should follow the ruling, which, of course, they're not really doing. So from the economy to immigration, an issue that a lot of people, Democrats have said don't talk about, to rule of law, voters seem to think Trump is going way too far. He's way overreaching. So he is vulnerable. It's clear in these polls, not just the top lines, but the issues ones. And when he was elected, and he's weaker than when he was elected in November and then when he took office. That's clear. You can see that in all of the data and all of the numbers. But his loss of support, which is significant, has not yet translated into Democratic gains. I'm not saying that to be a downer. I think this is actually a huge opportunity, and you have to be clear-eyed about this out there if you're part of the opposition. I mean, when NBC News poll asked the Americans the question, who fights for voters like you? The most popular answer, 38%, was that neither party fought for them. 38%. So, yeah, it is definitely true that most of these polls should be pretty jarring to the Trump team. Whatever they say publicly, they deny they look at them. There's no way that's the case. But they also show that Democrats have a lot of work ahead, a lot of opportunity, too. And again, we can't say for sure. We don't know yet that it'll work to be as fiery as J.B. Pritzker, or go to El Salvador with like Chris Van Hollen, or stand on the floor of the Senate for 25 hours like Cory Booker, or hold rallies in red states like AOC and Bernie Sanders. But the data shows there's an opportunity because the seemingly unstoppable Trump of a few months ago is no more. And that also seems to be making him, in my view, even more delusional. Because despite all of that, despite all of those very real, very specific, very consistent across many, many polls, bad numbers, Donald Trump seems to think everything is going great. He's going to cling to the idea that he is strong and powerful and successful, even as everything he touches is kind of crumbling a little bit, or a lot. At least that's the image he's trying to project. I mean, he's sitting down for a number of interviews this week. And the fact is really, really clear when you read one of the interviews he's already done. The new interview with Trump out this morning from The Atlantic's Ashley Parker and Michael Shearer. I mean, take a look at this exchange. Quote, "We asked the president if his second term felt different from his first. He said it did. The first time I had two things to do, run the country and survive. I had all these crooked guys," he said. "And the second time, I run the country and the world." Quite a thing to say. I run the country and the world? Buddy, you're at 39% in the polls, just so you know. And take a look at this one on immigration. Quote, "We pressed further again, bringing up his efforts to deport undocumented immigrants without due process. What would happen, we asked, if his administration accidentally got the wrong person, a legal resident, or even an American citizen? Let me tell you that nothing will ever be perfect in this world," he said. I mean, first of all, mistakenly sending a legal resident to a foreign prison and refusing to bring them back isn't even a hypothetical, as we all know. But sure, no big deal. Things happen. Can't get it right every time, according to Trump. No wonder why his polling is dropping so much in immigration. Now, he also talked about the media. He said, quote, "At some point, they give up," he said, referring to media owners generally, and we suspected Bezos specifically. "At some point, they say, no mas, no mas." He laughed quietly, which is a little disturbing. The Atlantic goes on to write, quote, "Media owners weren't the only ones on his mind. He also seemed to be referring to law firms, universities, broadcast networks, tech titans, artists, research scientists, military commanders, civil servants, moderate Republicans, all the people and institutions he expected to eventually, inevitably submit to his will." To Trump, he can propel things to be true, even when they aren't. To Trump, everyone and every institution will bend to him. To Trump, he's all powerful, immune from mistakes, and he will always come out on top in his view. But just because Trump thinks it doesn't make it true. I mean, it's true. That's what we're seeing in polling. That's what we're watching at protests. That's what we're hearing in speeches like the one J.B. Pritzker gave last night. And that's what we're hearing from people across the country. Here's what Michigan Senator Alyssa Slotkin told The Atlantic, quote, "I can't tell you how many Trump voters have said to me, like, look, I voted for him to make the economy work. I did not vote for all this craziness. And I certainly didn't vote, for instance, for cuts to the VA. That is not what they signed up for.